Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Twin Peaks: The Return, Exploring the Impossible. And this is episode 4. And so far, we've been doing one episode per episode of our show. So we are talking about episode 4 tonight. We will see how far we get. We will be with you until 8 p.m. So that is good. I'd like to start off, of course, with the reminder that if the channel is not monetized as of yet, so if you would like to contribute and say thanks by giving a little bit of your little largesse, you may do so by visiting buymeacoffee.com. Slash John D. And as you can see, that's spelled IOHNDEE. Every little helps and will be greatly appreciated. So again, if you'd like to contribute to the show and the development of the channel, then again, visit buymeacoffee.com slash John D, IOHNDEE, and do your best or worst, depending. So tonight, yes, we will be, as I said, reviewing episode 4. If you recall, last time, Mr. Prudentialist was not with us, so it was me and Sandy. Sandy, of course, is not with us tonight, but he shall return, presumably, for the next episode. In the meantime, I want to say hello to my friend Prudentialist. How are you doing, Prud?
I'm doing good, Mr. D. How are you? I'm ready to crack this one open.
Hey, well, that sounds great. What a great idea! And I've got myself a really big mug of coffee here, so I need that to light a fire under myself to get going. But seems appropriate again. So you were not with us, but last time, but we reviewed episode 3, and I don't know if you had any kind of lingering comments that you'd like to add to anything that we said.
No, I think we can just kind of dive straight in.
We can pop on. I think we're all familiar enough with
if you're here, I hope that you've watched the show.
Yes, I mean thank you very much for reminding me of that. Yes, I mean obviously, spoiler alert. This was massive spoilers. So if you don't want, if you haven't watched the show and you don't want spoilers, then I would wait. I would watch the show and then make a note to come back and watch all of these things, because they will be available on my channel henceforth. But yes, spoiler warning. So let's get this up here. Processing. I love processing. And we're doing a lot of processing. Yeah, I had to remake the slide deck just before we started, if people are wondering, because it was a bit too large, and StreamYard was not happy with it. And
this is, I think, the first episode in this revival, return series that really does have the old touch of whimsy from the first run of the series.
Indeed, yes. Because I will say that because of the pacing, of the show. I mean, he has 18 hours basically to play with. By the way, it's interesting. I don't know if I mentioned, but in interviews when the show came out, Lynch said that he would prefer that people thought of it as one thing rather than a TV show. He even though of course it was serialized, because how else would you have an 18-hour thing? But he said he would prefer people to think of it as one cohesive work, like an actual sort of a really expanded film narrative from beginning to end. So kind of a curious way to to go about it. But yeah, I would agree with you that this is a sort of turning point. And of course, we meet and a very, I would say, very important part of the narrative arc is established in this episode, and one of my favorite scenes is actually in this episode. So we last left Dougie at the Silver Mustang Casino. He was dropped. He was dropped off there by a prostitute called Jade, because what do you do with someone that you suspected had a stroke? Well, you drop them off at a casino and give them $5. She gave him a $5 banknote, and of course, if you recall, Dougie is quote Dougie. I will henceforth call him Dougie, even though we know that it's actually Dale. It's the quote good Dale from the lodge. But he, after arriving, after going through the outlet, he appears to be sort of shell shocked or catatonic, and so he can't. He has very shuffling movements, and he can't say anything other than to repeat what people say to him. So he was at the casino, and of course, he watched. I mean, he shambles over to the cashier, and he gets his cup full of quarters, and then he shambles over to the slot machines, and he watches a man playing one of the slots, and the man, of course, this sort of typical casino boomer, puts his quarter in, pulls the handle, and says hello for some reason. And so, of course, Dougie assumes, like any drooling toddler does, that this is what he's meant to do. And so, of course, he looks around, except for Dougie, he sees a vision over top one of the slot machines of the red room. The familiar image of the curtains and the floor pattern, whatever. And so he goes over to that slot machine, he puts his quarter in, and he pulls the handle, and he says, hello! And, of course, he gets the jackpot. He gets the mega jackpot, to nobody's surprise. And so he continues to do this, and basically he keeps seeing this vision of the red room, and he keeps shuffling over to this and that slot machine, and every single one of them, he totally cashes out, and to the point where I don't remember actually what he gets up to. So far, 29 mega jackpots. Here you see the casino staff looking slightly terrified for reasons.
Well, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that the casino has effectively lost. And later on in the episode, we find out that that's the most that any casino has ever lost in a single night, and heads are going to roll for it.
Yes, because this is not meant to happen. I mean, I don't want to break anyone's fantasies, but the odds are very heavily against you when you play any of these games of chance, or play any games at a casino. I mean, just remember that one way or the other. I mean, you're the pay pig. So yes, this would never happen. In fact, if even a fraction of this happened at a casino, you would be removed. You would be shown the door. They would not let someone do this, because again, there's just statistically there's no way that this could actually happen. So which hence why everyone is so sort of shell shocked. Yeah, and as someone says, over $450,000 what he won. Yeah, quite a lot of money. And one of my other favorite bits, of course, is that there is this. If you've ever been to any casinos, like in Vegas or whatever, you also have seen these various characters, including the very sad ones, who seem, really worn and just totally beaten down to the ground, who obviously have, I don't know, if you call it addiction. Obviously, people consider gambling an addiction, but there are clearly people there who shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And Dougie meets one of these in the form of a small, quite disheveled old woman who gets very angry, of course, because she of course has been coming there presumably for years, and Dougie, of course, just steps in, and he keeps getting jackpot after jackpot after jackpot. But then Dougie, it kind of gets the clue, and he points to, he sees another vision, and he points to that slot machine, and so so the old woman goes and plays that slot, and of course, she wins a jackpot. So, and she says, "Thank you, Mr. Jackpot," hence coining another name for Cooper. We got Dougie, and now we also know him as Mr. Jackpots. So, of course, Mr. Jackpots is shown into the office, and basically they want to, they're giving him his winnings. Everyone is, of course, very nervous, particularly the floor manager here. And he says, where do we have a limousine for you? Where do you want to go? And Dougie, of course, says home, as he does several times in the show. And so they take him in a limousine and send him home. I'm curious, if you have any kind of wider thoughts about this. I mean, the fact that that Jade takes him to a casino, like it's a very odd sequence. And if you have any kind of thoughts,
well, if my John all of a sudden has a stroke, or he blips out of some sort of mortal existence, like, because in the last episode, like, there's that little lump of flesh, or like it looks like he's vomited or whatever, and it's just, and she's like, well, damn, Dougie, it sounds like whatever you're on is hitting you hard. And so either Dougie has had a stroke, or he's just like zaza'd out of his mind. So like, well, I'm kind of, I mean, like, my profession is quasi legal. Might as well get rid of him before I'm held liable for his health or whatever. So, I mean, there's that. But then also, this whole scene is really entertaining because I think I'm on the record. I don't like the length of the Ducky Jones arc for the return, but nevertheless, here we are. This is our introduction really to Dougie in full. And Dougie is this giant bumbling toddler who is, inside is the good Cooper. But the whole scene with the casino is incredibly entertaining. He's just going from light to light. And yeah, like you had said, there's this great sort of menagerie of Las Vegas boomer gambler types, because you will see them everywhere, whether it's in Las Vegas or any other casino. There will be the kind of disheveled person. And in fact, I literally just came across someone who reminded me of that woman walking around my apartment complex before I got here. So I was like, how timely. Like, she's there waiting for Mr. Jackpots. So if you don't like this, if you don't like Dougie in the way that he's going to be presented, I'm so sorry. He's going to be like this for a long time in this review. And but also for the casino, just to be like, well, they're terrified. Like, what do we do with him? Like, what am I supposed to do with the fact that this this kind of bumbling idiot has just like won the greatest statistical odds ever? Clearly not by his own hand. There's definitely outside intervention.
Yes. For me, I'm sort of curious about. Well, first of all, I mean, as we talked to me and Sandbatch talked last time, it's hilarious to me. I mean, so Jade, the prostitute, is in the shower and she hears this horrendous sort of explosion, bang noise, which scares her, and she comes out and she sees, quote, Dougie. She doesn't seem at well. She says, "Where did you get that suit?" Like, but she doesn't seem to be bothered by the fact that he clearly is about 60 pounds lighter. And that, of course, his hair is a different color and a different length. He, of course, is wearing a different suit. Like she, like there's a lot of question, and there's a pile of malodorous. There's a combination of cream corn and burnt engine oil lying there. She just doesn't seem bothered at all by this. I suppose if you're a prostitute in Las Vegas,
I suppose
you've
you don't
seen
ask questions.
Yeah, you've seen everything. But there do seem to be some. Maybe as Ajar Bazaar maybe has the idea in the chat there. But the other thing about of course, the casino is I think maybe that Lynch was drawing a little analogy between the casino floor and the red room, the Black Lodge, so to speak. It is, they're both these kind of to use a term so abused by millennials on the internet, but they're both liminal spaces, I think, in the true sense of the word, both the lodge and the and the just the casino, this sort of place, this non-place, where everything sort of exists in this hyper position, of am I going to win? Am I going to lose? And with this complete background of fake luxury and sort of desperation. There's to me they're just sort of equally evil kind of places, or places that you don't want to find yourself in. And it's just strange that instead of Jade dropping him at a hospital, she just drops him at this casino. So because it seems like maybe that's the place that he should go. So yeah, but Dougie, of course, he wants to go home. Yeah, and I appreciate this. Home. I guess this must be the place. Yes. Wonderful Talking Head song, one of the best. So the limo.
Is it also in last episode where they find the Great Northern Key? Is it on his person? Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, Jade. She fishes around in his pockets and she finds the key, and of course the key. This is the key to Cooper's room from all those years ago at the Great Northern Hotel, and it says, if found,
please return.
But yeah, put in any mailbox, and so she does later on, but drop it in a mailbox, and it's also that key, weirdly, that saves Cooper / Dougie's life, because when she takes him in her yellow Jeep, there are hitmen positioned with a rifle waiting to shoot him. And he drops the key at some point and ducks down to find it. And of course, then drives by the sniper and they don't see him. And so they presume he's not in the car. So it's also the kind of this key is, again, the quote key to a lot of things. But, it's also the key to kind of saving him from that little danger. But so, yeah, the limo driver takes Dougie and his sack of money, takes him home, and of course he lives on I think very poignantly named Lancelot Court, and of course it's the house with the red door, as it would be. And so they pull up, and we meet
Naomi Watts.
Yeah, one of my favorite characters, Naomi Watts, Janie E, as she's called in this show. So and I have
her performance in this entire run is so good.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. I mean, obviously people remember that she was given her kind of first big break by David Lynch when he cast her in Mulholland Drive. She had been working in LA, really struggling for 10 years before she got that part, and I think that was her kind of her quote break. And so she and Lynch, obviously she turned in an incredible performance in Mulholland Drive, and so obviously wanted to have her back. And yes, I mean she's absolutely incredible as Janie E. Prudentialist, of course, as he says, he thought maybe the Dougie arc is paced a little too slowly and drawn out a little bit, but I really like it, and I have theories about the kind of that it's the meaning of Dougie and Janie and that situation is sort of central to kind of some of the big ideas in this show. But yes, Janie E, the worried wife of Dougie, and she's not very happy because we3 that Dougie has been absent for 3 days.
3 days and has missed his son's birthday.
Yes, the son's birthday. The son is named Sonny Jim. That's what he's called.
Very Australian.
Very Australian. I'll just briefly touch on it now, but I will go into it. I will go into it more later. But as soon as I heard mention that they called him Sonny Jim, I was reminded of a play by Edward Albee, which was made famously into a film by Mike Nichols, called "Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf," with amazing performances by Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. And again, I will go into this, what my theory about this connection at a later point. But it should be noted that famously, the two in that film have a son, ostensibly, whose name is who is referred to as Sonny Jim. So that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh no, is he really going to do this? But yes, he does. But yes, Dougie, of course, like like George and Martha in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, missed poor Sonny Jim's birthday, and she's livid about that, obviously, and again seems not terribly startled by the fact that her husband in 3 days has lost 60 pounds and is wearing a suit very different from the suits that we learn that quote Dougie Jones wore, and his hair is a different color and a different length. I mean, it's just a little odd to me that there's sort of this kind of
Suspension of disbelief.
yeah, but again, it just seems
because everyone plays it for straight. Like when Dougie goes back to his day job, like everyone is just like, Dougie, where the hell have you been? I've been covering your ass. But it's never like, what the hell's happened to you? Like, you got some work done. I think one of his coworkers assumes he's like went on a bender, and it's never. But no one questions that Dougie Jones is not this. Like, clearly he's wearing a suit now that's like 3 or 4 sizes too small or too big. No one cares.
Nope.
It is just that Dougie is back, and we're gonna play this completely straight. And I guess, and I assume that just Dougie has always been, because we don't know anything about the original Dougie Jones at all. Like, we see him like maybe 2 or 3 times tops.
Yeah.
And it just kills me every time, because it's just like, well, I have to assume that Dougie Jones, prior to being, spatially and dimensionally taken out of this realm from the lodge for Cooper to inhabit his body, is just was also a giant bumbling retard of sorts, where it's just. But also, we know he's not like that, because we also know that Dougie Jones is a gambler. He has a lot of debt, and there's people who want him dead because of it. And it just raises the question so much about who is the mystery of this Dougie Jones character at the same time, which we'll never really get a full answer to, which is also part of the fun with this character. But it is no one asks the question like, what the hell happened to you? They're just like, well, now that you're back, let's catch you up to speed. And in a way, it's like whiplash for the audience, because it's just like, well, I know what's kind of going on, but there's no way in hell that if I were to disappear off the face of the earth, that I wouldn't have people asking questions. I'm also surprised, right? Because like his wife didn't file a missing persons report. Like, this is that common of an occurrence. And like now we're just back to normal. Oh, dad's home. Like, here we go. It's the lack of suspension for disbelief before me, where I'm just like, okay, like this is the world I'm being, I have to accept.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, we get a little bit of a scene between the original Dougie and the prostitute, where they're having a conversation. He's clearly like he talks, he responds, like he says complete sentences, like, and as you say, I mean, he obviously has this life of debauchery. He's not a kind of drooling catatonic weirdo like he returns as, and yet again everyone just sort of goes with it. So part of my theory about this show is that the Dougie Jones saga is it's a television show within Twin Peaks: The Return. I mean, if people remember all the way back to season 1 of Twin Peaks back in 1990, there was a parallel soap opera going on, which is called Invitation to Love. And you would frequently see various of the Twin Peaks characters watching this show or listening to it. And it was a really broad, parodic mirror of things that were happening in Twin Peaks, that would happen on this show. Apparently, though, I mean, it was Mark Frost who was responsible for that bit, and David Lynch didn't like it because he thought it was a bit too broad. Like, he thought that it should have been slightly less kind of obviously a kind of parody mirror of Twin Peaks, that it should have been slightly more believable. But in a way, I sort of view the Dougie Jones, Janie E., that plot, as being a kind of warped sitcom. So for me, all the kind of, the fact that characters are just ignoring these completely unexplainable and obvious aberrations in, the Dougie's character, and the fact that, of course, this the central character of this little sitcom within a show can't speak. He's just a shambling, sort of toddler, as you said. I'm just tempted to view this as a kind of weird parodic, um, again, topsy turvy mirror of television in general. Because there's just so many stupid things. And again, I think in a way, the fact that it is so excruciatingly drawn out, and there's so many segments, and again, it's just sort of it's so goofy. Like, a lot of the things that happen with Dougie are just completely goofy and stupid. And in a way, I do think that Lynch was sort of doing something. My take entirely, I don't know if that's true, but I like to think of it as a kind of a warped sitcom in the middle of this strange metaphysical show.
Yeah, I mean, there is certainly a meta commentary aspect to this, because in a lot of ways, Ducky Jones is almost a vehicle for the audience to go through. Like, because in the original run of Twin Peaks, we have no idea about any of the backstory or any of the characters, and we're supposed to take it as completely straight. And Dougie becomes sort of a way for the audience to also sort of be the way in which I would react to things. Like, later on, there are moments where they're like, I don't even know why I came here, or like why I'm here. Like, things that seem very kind of like Deus Ex Machina. But if you're not in on it, right, then all of a sudden you're going to feel that sort of discombobulated, and you just have to take things for what they are, because this is the story and the plot that's been put before you. There is no Invitation to Love equivalent here. In the first episode, I really thought that they were going to do something like that with Dr. Jacoby and his sort of little, Alex Jones alt media type deal from, circa 2015. Did not come to be. And so, the Dougie Jones arc becomes this really strange way to sort of expand on sort of the greater cosmology of Twin Peaks, but also as a member of the audience or as a television viewer, you're just sort of left to be like, well, what would you do in this situation if someone came in kind of looking like Dougie, not Dougie? Like, are you just going to go along with it? Are you going to play it straight? The television show says you have to. So for you as the audience, you also have to do it. And it makes this weird kind of dissonance that plays out, but it's also very entertaining.
Yeah, indeed. A job bizarre again with the talking heads thing. Yeah. This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. How did I get here? Man, I never really thought about that, but there's a strong
See,
talking
it
heads
works
thing.
even better though too, because of all the suits. Like, Dougie's suits don't fit him anymore, so they're giant. So he's just
Yep.
David Bryant.
The big suit. The big suit, yes. Amazing. Wow. That's good.
Oh my god, all these years later, I've just been trolled with a Talking Heads joke.
So good.
Perfect.
So good. Yeah.
Thank you, chat.
Letting the days go by in the water. Oh, that is insane. I love it. Anyway, I'm a huge Talking Heads appreciator, so this is delightful to me. One other aspect, of course, is that we know that David Lynch loved the 1950s. I mean, he said so many times in many of his works. It's very clear that, and he said very clearly in interviews as well, that he thought it was, despite the fact that, of course, there's, as we, it's a favorite thing, particularly now, of media to present the 1950s as this existential nightmare. Those stupid things that come up. It'll show some sort of lovely illustration from a 50s advert, and it'll be like, oh, the dad is secretly gay and the girl is secretly boning a black guy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I think for David Lynch, it was totally sincere. That yes, I mean, he acknowledged, but that obviously there were things happening, particularly, of course, the sort of exponential growth of atomic the threat of atomic annihilation and all that. But it also was an idyllic time, maybe the kind of maybe one of the last ones, the last sort of genuine moments in America where there was cohesion and where there was this sort of sense of optimism about the future and about the nature of the country. Now, obviously, we've learned subsequently that some of those things were deliberate post-war psyops that mask some quite dark things that were to manifest themselves more fully in the 60s and 70s. But I do think that David Lynch's love was genuine. And so one of the things about, again, the Janie E. Dougie sitcom within the show is that if, and
It's almost a parody of I Love Lucy.
yeah,
Except the roles are reversed, where now
yeah.
Desi Arnaz is the sort of like bumbling idiot and getting himself in all sorts of wacky situations, and it's Lucy trying to put up with his shit. It's also, again, to go back to like the sitcom meta commentary, we always have, because like we know what Dougie looks like, so we have a comically fat debaucherous, jerk, who has the well-to-do lifestyle and a comically attractive wife that's way out of his league. And now it's like, what does this world look like in a sitcom where what does the like King of Queens TV show look like if it were real? And I think that this is Lynch's attempt at being like, every sitcom with the dumb husband and the hot wife is going to be played out now.
Yep.
And this is what it would look like.
Yeah, except of course taking it like Lynch does, taking it to the extreme. He's not just a dumb husband; he's literally catatonic, or semi-catatonic. And of course, I mean, just like I mean, because it's Cooper playing the role of a character. Like we know that whoever Dougie was, we know that this is Cooper. So again, we're watching Cooper starring in someone else's show. I mean, even the presence of Naomi Watts. If you remember Mulholland Drive, I mean, the plot of Mulholland Drive was that Naomi Watts's characters wanted to be she came to Los Angeles to become an actress. She wanted to become a movie star, and the entire film plots this arc. And of course, there's this dream in weirdly the kind, the Nancy Drew good arc for Naomi Watts's character in Mulholland Drive is a similarly kind of whitewashed, dreamy Hollywood thing. And of course, then there is another instantiation of this story, which is perhaps the real one, which is not so happy. But even in both of them, again, Naomi Watts's character wanted to be an actress, and so here we see her return to David Lynch as like she finally got the role. She wasn't driven to suicide by two weird little elderly furies. No, she actually got the role at playing the housewife in this weird psychodrama, or the sort of psycho comedy. Anyway, I'm very tempted to kind of think of it like that, and to the whole sort of 1950s thing. Here we see, I'm gonna fix you a sandwich, and then I'm gonna get you a piece of Sunny Gem's chocolate cake. Again, her husband disappeared for days, missed the son's birthday, was obviously gambling.
Right on cue back to being a housewife.
But but again, implacable, perfect housewife. And I think, of course, we see this archetype of the perfect woman in a lot of David Lynch things. One thing I've always noticed is that women in David Lynch, like David Lynch's good women, are basically they're just perfect 50s housewives in a way. They first of all, they want to bring food. They want to bring sort of comfort to whatever male they're interacting with. Now, of course, in the Lynch universe, of course, that often goes bad, and there's often like a weird, if you think about Jeffrey Beaumont's relationship with Laura Dern's character in Blue Velvet, it is again ostensibly a kind of beautiful 1950s tale of boy meets girl, but of course it's shot through with extraordinary darkness and tragedy and murder and death. So I mean, I'm a bit like this, I think that, but really, there is no sort of. There are those elements that come into the Janie E and Dougie story, and yet again, Janie E is just unflappable. I mean, if I had to think of a just an unalloyed, totally good character with no sort of ulterior motives at all, it is Janie E. I mean, David Lynch presents us with the perfect wife. I don't know if you agree, but
No, I'm fine with that take too. In part just because David Lynch is of a time where that kind of nostalgia was prominent in media. Considering when he was growing up, that kind of media for 50s nostalgia was all the rage, and it wouldn't be until the 1990s, 20 years later, when like 70s nostalgia kind of hits the frame. And even now, this day and age, there's clearly 1990s nostalgia. So
yeah,
I think it works out quite well. And Naomi Watts, yeah, she plays as the unflappable sitcom perfect housewife that we would see on television, regardless of the situation, without missing a beat. My husband is back, and we're good to go. Although it is fun because as she sits there, she realizes like, oh, you've been gambling, like, but then she's like, what's in the bag? And she opens up and she's like, oh my gosh, Dougie, this is a lot of money. Like all of a sudden their problems have been miraculously fixed by Cooper's instantiation
yeah,
into Dougie.
yeah. Because of course, it wouldn't have been like the reason that that I'm sort of that can view it as the kind of sort of quirky, perfect nuclear family 50s sitcom is because it's because Dougie was yeeted, into the lodge, and of course then made non-existent. Had Dougie, the old, the quote real Dougie, had he remained, of course, it would have been a horrible dystopian experience. He would continue to neglect his child and his wife, continue to gamble away, and threaten. It is only the fact that Cooper replaces him that things turn around. And of course, they start to turn around immediately with him arriving at the door with a giant sack of money, just when, of course, he's, as we find out soon, that he is up to his neck in gambling debts. And I will say, I mean, even the fact that they live on Lancelot Court, I mean, even this sort of invocation of, of kind of this sort of chivalric ideal, it's yeah, as Shawnee Mack says, yeah, the neighborhood is suspicious. I mean, again, it's all a bit too hyper real. So, and then from the sublime to the ridiculous. So we meet uh Denise.
Yes, Denise, who we are introduced to in the second season of Twin Peaks,
Yep.
played by none other than David Duchovny. Surely playing this role 30 years ago had no impact on his sexual proclivities and addiction later in his life. But no, Denise works for the well, I think didn't didn't they? Didn't Duchovny's character work in the ATF undercover? That's the whole shtick, right? Working undercover made Duchovny's character
Yeah.
realize that he's a woman, and this
Yeah,
is where we're at.
and that's how it's. I mean, in season 2 of Twin Peaks, that's how it's explained. Because when you first meet him, he's dressed just like Coop. He's dressed like all the rest of the FBI agents, whatever. But then, yes, when of course the revelation comes, we discover that his origin, Denise's origin story is that he went undercover as a woman and, well, discovered his paraphilia. So. Which is interesting. I mean, what's funny? Again, I don't. I'm tempted to think that that's one of those instances in season 2 of Twin Peaks where I just feel like it's a little too on the nose. It's like Silence of the Lambs. Like when they first the first cut of Silence of the Lambs, there were some lines about transsexuals or transvestites, whatever, that ended up in the final, in the released film that weren't originally there, and it's because that even then, I mean, Silence of the Lambs is interesting. I think it was
What,
1990,
93, 91?
and it was 90 or 91. It was right about the same time as the original Twin Peaks. But I remember that there was even then there was concern that and some nascent, sort of homosexual rights group or whatever complained, that about this film that's coming out, and they actually screened it for these groups to see what they thought, and they said, "Oh, we think it's too, quote, transphobic," or that was not a word then, but I mean that's obviously the thing. So they added these lines, and if you listen to the film, the lines stick out. It's just like. Lecter says something about about him wanting to be a woman, and then Agent Starling says, "Well, there's transsexuals are not violent. There's studies to show that they're not violent at all." Yeah, I mean, little did they know, but it just sticks out like a sore thumb because you can tell that it was put in there again to serve someone's agenda. And I felt some of the dialogue around David Duchovny's character in Twin Peaks had this as well. Like, if you go back and watch it, there's a little bit of like Cooper's just like, oh, to each his own. More power to you, Denis. It's just like a little. It just stands out for me a little bit of a weird way. So to see Duchovny's character come back, and if you recall the scene, it's almost if a lot of the dialogue David Lynch as Gordon Cole has with Denise here, it's almost like he's kind of mocking the whole thing. The whole thing, he does his whole, like, again, his whole David Lynch, attaboy 1950s shtick, except it's all like, you're one of the fellas, Denise. You're one of the guys. Like it's almost like he's deliberately in a weird.
I've stuck up for you at this bureau when everyone else was talking behind. Like, it's just a very like,
yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, exactly. And of course, it's played.
Completely straight,
except
no pun intended.
No pun intended. But I mean, I can't help but think, of course, that David Lynch is not the director of the FBI, of course. He's the deputy. And so, again, I almost feel like this is the fruits of, again, no pun intended, the fruits of Denise's ascension over the years. And, of course, the changes in policies that we all know and the kind of terrible things that, that happened in subsequent decades. We have to view this as a kind of humiliation ritual in a way, I mean, here's like David Duchovny in a dress and a wig, sitting in the big chair, and Gordon Cole, of course, relegated to bringing him flowers. I don't know. It's very interesting, this scene.
Anyways,
anyway,
Denise is back.
Denise is back.
Bryson, the FBI chief of staff.
Oh, he's.
Duchovny is chief of staff of the FBI. Yes.
Okay, that's I was trying to get because I was like, it can't be the director of the FBI. Come on.
Okay. Yeah. In the Biden administration, maybe.
Well,
this.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I also like that The Office is like the most over the top, like, man's office, like the bronze eagle and the wood paneling, like, there's no softness in this office at all. Again,
they could use a woman's touch.
Yes, so could David Duchovny.
I think he's had a lot of that in his life.
Yikes, indeed. And then we go from bad to worse when we meet, I think, one of the most unpleasant characters in all of Twin Peaks: The Return, whose name is Chad. And you see him there, Chad. I don't remember what his surname is.
I don't remember either.
Yeah. I can tell you in a moment. Let's see.
He's an absolute prick. I don't have anything good to say about him. If you wanted a stereotypical insert douchebag
Yeah.
character here, it's Chad.
Yeah. Chad, and of course we learn later that he is compatriots with the other absolutely irredeemable, loathsome character in the show, who we have not met as of yet. But yeah, his name is Chad Broxford. Chad Brox, the X in the Broxford. Yeah, um, right on name. And we meet, of course, the newer people at at Twin Peaks sheriff's office. Who are all again sympathetic, quirky characters. But we very quickly learn that Chad is the worst. I don't. Again, I wonder why he's employed there. It's just like, why would you hire someone that obviously this malevolent, who clearly just hates everyone in the office, I mean, in this scene particularly, he's disrespecting disrespecting the sheriff, to his face. So yeah, not quite sure about the hiring decision to keep old Chad. But we have returned to the sheriff's office, and we discover that Andy and Lucy and Deputy Hawk have retrieved the evidence from a past case, and of course that case is the murder of Laura Palmer. So yeah, we have all the things. We have the homecoming queen portrait, and of course our old friend Bobby Briggs, who is now of course Deputy Bobby Briggs, wanders in, and of course there's Laura looking at him, and he has a quite extreme reaction. Again, you sort of wonder, in a way, how long has that sort of community disaster, how long has it been suppressed? I mean, is this something that they just stop talking about, after the events of, the first two seasons? Again, we're being led back into this world, but one is sort of tempted to wonder, like, what were these people doing all those years? And again, what was the dispensation? Maybe he hadn't thought of Laura for 20 years or 25 years or whatever. So interestingly, Bobby was kind of a loathsome character in the original series and in Firewalk with Me, and of course there's a lot of strangely positive things. Again, people think, I think a lot of people think that Twin Peaks: The Return is kind of like, the bad ending, and it's a revenge of David Lynch on his audience. But a lot of the people seem to have actually done well. Like Bobby, as Deputy Briggs, seems to have gotten his life together. He's quit using coke and dealing drugs and shooting people in the forest, and and now he just seems to be an upstanding member of the Twin Peaks Sheriff Department. It's quite strange. But yeah, we get this moment, brings back some memories, and of course that's why we're
title episode.
Yeah, and that's why we're all here. Again, we're here to reconnect with the tragedy of Laura Palmer and to bring back some memories about the old show. Yeah, that's a good point, Shawnee Mac. Yeah, we do learn that maybe there's some bad things with Bobby's, with his family, but whatever. Okay, let's see.
It feels very strange because I've read a lot of other people's reactions to this. I looked at it and it felt appropriate because you're opening up a very deep wound. And then a lot of other people I read online were just like, this felt kind of comedic. And I far from it. I mean, this, considering his involvement in the original plot, like, it just feels incredibly. I was so happy to see him, to see Bobby as a police officer. And he felt like, oh, wow, like, what an incredible turnaround of character development, that he looks like he's the most well put together person, considering how he's presented as a criminal and a prick in the original run. Like, this is such a rewarding thing to come back to, and may be probably the most rewarding sort of character we revisit of the sort of Twin Peaks original cast, because there's a lot of teasing, there's a lot of quasi fan service that's also a bit of denial, but this one felt right. And Bobby got his act together, and that's really nice to see.
Yeah, and it for me it ties in also to one of my favorite scenes in the original series. I can't remember which episode it was, but uh, in the Double R, Bobby runs into his father, Major Briggs, and he asked Bobby to sit down. And Bobby, slumps into the seat, and then Major Briggs proceeds to say, to tell him, I had this dream last night. I want to tell you about my dream. Do you remember that scene, Prude?
Yeah.
And he tells him, of course, this visionary dream about being in a kind of sort of classical architecture and this sort of beautiful marble place, and that that someone comes to the door, and of course it's his son, but his son is is everything is good, and everything has sort of turned towards the light, and of course by the end of this very moving scene, it's one of the best scenes I think in the original show. Bobby is moved to tears, and so I kind of like to think that sort of moment with his father, with whom he had a troubled relationship, uh, maybe was the spark, the seed that sort of put him on the right path. So yeah, I was very happy to also to see this, and I certainly didn't read this as comedic at all. It's quite affecting, and particularly again because he walks in, and then you're watching him, and then you get his POV, which is that shot of Laura Palmer's portrait on the table, and of course that music, Laura Palmer's theme, comes surging in, and you're just like, yeah, it worked
Yep.
very well. Sadly, this scene is followed by my least favorite moment in the entirety of Twin Peaks: The Return.
Oh, I hate this so much. It felt like a celebrity favor call in, and I hate it. I hate it with the force of 1,000 suns. I don't know why they called him in. I don't know why he's here. It's dumb. I have no words. I don't like Michael Cera to begin with. I
No.
don't have anything nice to say about Michael Cera as an actor. And then for him to come in and visit and be this like Jack Kerouac, but like experiencing twink death, and all of a sudden, like, I'm supposed to believe that this like piece of garbage is their son? No, no. And also, what an insult to these two like lovable, affable. Like, this is just me ranting. There's no objective analysis here, and I apologize, but this is so out of place. He shows up for this scene, and I'm pretty sure this scene only. I'm sure that's all that they
Yeah,
can afford with Michael Cera. He's
yeah,
never to be seen again.
no.
But we're now given the implication that these two lovely people who had a son, and her pregnancy is referenced,
Yeah.
in the second season, because there's that competition between Officer Andy and what
Oh,
was that? I don't remember.
that horrible British.
Yeah, he was like he
I
worked at the retail store.
I
He was the men's clothing section guy.
Yeah, I
Absolute
hated
jerk.
that. Hated that
And so
character.
we're supposed to sit here and believe that like this is Officer Andy's son mixed with her, and it's just like this is what I get. And this is where I feel like a lot of these like fan servicey things also feel like be careful what you wish for, monkey's paw thing. Like, oh, it'd be nice to see how Officer Andy and her are holding up together as like a married item. It's like, oh, by the way, their son's like a twink poet on a motorcycle, and he's played by Michael Cera. Bye. Like, it's just you're like, again, more whiplash. But this is my least favorite part of this entire episode.
Yeah, as I said, it's my least favorite part of the entire series. Now, people know I've mentioned, I think, on one of these episodes that that I hate I never liked Lucy and Andy. Like, they were tolerable in the first series, like most of the first series, but season 2, the again, that whole plot arc, with her pregnancy, and they just became just parodically stupid characters. um Yeah, so I didn't like, of course, the direction. And in a way, I think again, I don't know, but my sense is that David, this is so over the top. And in fact, every appearance of Lucy and Andy in Twin Peaks Return, they're almost again they're just performing a kind of parody of whatever the characters were in the first place. It's just like, okay, we're going to have them, but they're going to be even goofier than ever, and we're going to finally meet Wally. And of course, and obviously, I should add that Wally is, I mean, literally, it's Marlon Brando from The Wild One. I mean, the costume, including that you see his name is embroidered on his jacket, and of course, it's except it's Wally. It's just so bad in every sense that I have to think that it was intentional. Anyway,
That would make more sense.
I yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's all forget about that. And
Please.
when we go back to Dougie, and of course this sequence, that being one of my least favorite sequences to one of my favorite in the return is of course Dougie's first morning getting ready for work.
The morning after.
And of course, I just love the idea that again, whoever the original Dougie was in the context of the show, I mean that there was someone that
He
looked
had it
like,
so good.
yeah, and of course, I mean, like wearing a lime green plus sized jacket.
Polyester jacket.
There's something good about that. So yeah, so we see, of course, Cooper, mystified at this clothing, and he looks down. He looks into the corner of the room, and he has a vision, of course, of the one armed man of Mike. Overlaid on the kind of quasi mid century decor of Dougie and Janie E's house. And again, we get the sense, whatever. I think we talked in a previous episode whether the one-armed man whether he's a malevolent character or a good character or a neutral character. But he's clearly again trying to get Cooper to kind of snap out of it, and obviously Cooper's not prepared, but Cooper sees him, and it's clear that Cooper at least is sort of thinking about the meaning of this strange vision. And then, of course, he wanders into the bath, and we get this moment, which, of course, for me is I mean, literally a mirror of the last time we see Cooper in the end of season 2, of course, where he's looking in the mirror and squeezes the entire tube of toothpaste in the sink and then smashes his head, and we see, of course, in his reflection that it's Bob, that it's the bad Cooper. Here we have Cooper blankly looking at himself, again in a very similar way. Who am I? In the way that, of course, the mirror became a kind of dark mirror, the fractured mirror, which presented us with the revelation that Cooper was replaced by literally possessed copy of himself. Again, the mirror gives us nothing in this instance.
No, does not speak.
Quite curious. So yeah, he's getting dressed. Of course, he's not quite sure how to get dressed. He's giving thumbs up to young Sonny Jim here, and of course the thumbs up thing. It's interesting because that's a thing that Cooper does.
Yeah.
But he's only doing it here because Sonny Jim does it to him, I think. So it's quite weird that he's sort of being fed back his bits of his personality by characters who shouldn't have any knowledge of this.
Yep. But I mean, it is it bleeds through whatever sort of Cooper is inside this poor bastard's body is just it peeks through from time to time, and it's I think what carries the entire Dougie Jones arc until Cooper wakes up from all this is that there are just little tiny pieces of Doug that are like Cooper crawling out of Dougie's
Yeah.
body that carries him. Because if not, then this like bumbling, lecherous person who was Dougie Jones would have met his end a much long time ago. But it is Cooper. It's just Cooper playing someone else, or Cooper buried underneath a layer of some sort of post-traumatic amnesia. I don't know. Just like I want to just be me and just be like, imagine Cooper, but he's like forced to play a bumbling retard. Like this is what you get for like 15 episodes.
Interesting.
At least it's funny. At least it's funny.
At least it's fun. I mean, I love it for reasons I've stated. But Serum Fighter says that's an interesting note that when we first meet. I try and remember the first scene of Cooper in the original series. I, I think he's doing yoga, like he's standing on his head, and he's wearing these same pajamas, which is a bit odd. That's not something I'd thought about. Yeah, or very similar pajamas. So anyway. Another piece of low comedy that I absolutely love. Of course, he doesn't know what to do with the necktie, so he just drapes it over his head. And so here we are at breakfast. The site of the sort of the location of the American nuclear family. Janie E. diligently making breakfast. Sonny Jim smiling, seeing his retarded dad. It's
like I Am Sam, but from everyone else's perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So good. Pancakes even.
It's so cheerfully domestic, and then again it's that interruption of like we have to make this work kind of deal. Like dad's a little different now, we just have to accept it.
Yeah, he's funnier. He's more relatable,
He's nicer. He's healthier.
He's a kid just like me,
Yeah.
Sort of, I just had a horrible thought. But I am Dougie Jones. But rather Dougie Jones as he should have been. Well, you talk about some bits of Cooper's personality sort of brimming out. Well, we get one here. Another favorite shot.
I love the font choice.
Yeah. Dougie's coffee. And of course, coffee. 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 And unfortunately, again, Dougie being, quote Dougie being who he is, he takes a big drink of it. Ah! Hi! It's a little hot. Oh, great scene. I love this scene. My favorite scene. It's also the music is the Dave Brubeck Quartet playing Take 5. Very, very famous, wonderful song. Again, underscoring that sort of perfect, beautiful vision of the 1950s. The kind of the mid-century jazz. White jazz. Yeah, that's a very good shout, Junga Threat. Of course. Sitting over Cooper's shoulder. The owls are not what they seem. I think they went from a threatening vision to a cookie jar. So we rejoin Gordon Cole and Albert, and they are traveling to Buckthorn, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Because of course, remember in the previous episode that he got a call on the red phone saying that it was Cooper, that they'd found Cooper. And so they're driving here. I kind of like this moment. It's very David Lynch. We're not anywhere near Mount Rushmore. And then for some reason he has a photograph of Mount Rushmore.
There they are.
There they are, Albert. Faces made of stone. Yeah. So good. We like it.
For his lengthy career and for all of his filmography, He is an incredibly funny man, and
It,
I really wish he had written a comedy at
yeah.
least once.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen it. He actually did. In fact, it was produced, but only a few episodes of it were produced. It was canceled very quickly, but it was called On the Air. And it came out in the very early 90s. It came out, I think, right after Twin Peaks had been canceled. And you can find all the episodes, but it was literally a sitcom about uh, I think a radio station or a television station set in this world. It didn't quite work, but yeah, I mean, weird enough, he did attempt to make a comedy, like just straight pure comedy. So if you want to look out for that, anyone, it's a curious bit of Lynch.
I'm gonna have to go look this up because I'm interested.
Yeah, only I think I don't know. It was very few episodes of it were made. It
7
was
episodes.
7. Wow, more than I thought. More than I thought. Um, yeah, doesn't quite work, but
I'm gonna have to give it a shot.
gotta. Yeah, no. If you're a certainly if you're a Lynch admirer, then then it's certainly worth looking at because it's a tantalizingly unrealized bit of Lynch did a lot of genres of film. Obviously a bit like Kubrick. He did sci-fi and he did historical drama, and he did whatever the straight story is, and he did pure surrealism yeah, and lots of comedy. I mean, even of course in the darkest Lynch films, I mean, they're just overflowing with sort of weird comedy. So. So then we are faced with the reality of quote Agent Cooper, who is again shown up after 25 years and find himself in prison in South Dakota, which is where, of course, Gordon Cole and Albert and all the rest of them are going to finally see Cooper, and so they sit down and they raise the iron curtain there, and there he is. And look, he's giving the thumbs up. It must be Agent Cooper, except
It's not.
except it's not. Of course, we know who it is. It's Mr. C. It's the bad Cooper. So I do like that. Yeah, I mean, Kyle MacLachlan playing, as someone said, basically 4 different roles in this in this show. Sometimes like one role on top of another. Again,
Yeah.
Cooper playing Dougie is there's a lot of I think it's a genius turn. So the very interesting thing about this scene, and I think unless you're really paying attention, you'll miss it. And I didn't want to risk having a clip of it, but so what happens is the curtain goes up. There's Mr. C. He gives the thumbs up, and he says to he says to Cole, he says, "I'm Yerav very pleased to see you, Cole." And I actually didn't catch it on my first watch. It was only on rewatching it. I was like, what the hell is that? And so if you listen, he says, "I am very happy to see you." So he says very backwards, and then he says it forwards. And it's like a really subtle thing. Again, I wonder how many people actually actually pick that up. But it's I think one of the many reasons why, of course, they immediately know that there's something wrong, because of course, who talks backwards? Well, it's denizens of the lodge, as far as we saw. I mean, remember that even when the good Dale is in the lodge, he doesn't speak backwards. It's only the kind of lodge creatures, the lodge entities that do. So I thought that was a very subtle thing. Did you notice that?
I noticed it on the second watch.
Yeah.
I did not notice it in the first go.
Yeah.
I mean, it was already thrown off because it's so different in comparison to Cooper's voice. So it's just more like, oh, okay, like clearly something is up here.
Yeah.
I need to be aware of it.
Yeah, you're a very good to see you, old friend. Yeah, and then of course Lynch. There's a very, I mean, Gordon Cole. Lynch's Gordon Cole does a very interesting thing where he kind of mirrors everything that this Cooper says to him. In a curious way. So yeah, but very clearly something is something is wrong. Something is wrong. So what's interesting is it's not. So when you look at the official closed captions, they don't note that it's not noted in the closed captions. They don't note the backwards bit, so it's apparently just a tiny little thing. But yes, of course, after seeing him, they have a meeting out in the car park, and yeah, he didn't greet me properly. No, because he was speaking backwards. And so this episode, of course, ends as quite a number of them do, back at the Roadhouse. And I put this shot in here for Sandbatch. I thought he would be here, but this is for you, Sandy, wherever you are.
The music in all of these are so good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Period, because of course you being younger than I am, of a different generation, but I didn't know any of. I mean, the only the only one of these bands that I knew, of course, was Trent Reznor. But all these other musical acts, would these have been groups known to kind of alt millennial types?
Yes.
Okay.
And it fits exactly for when this time was, and then two, anyone who, I think, like a lot of millennial, I don't want to use the word hipster, but I think it really does apply here. Anyone who was a millennial, a hipster, and grew up with this kind of music. Like Sandy's older than me by I think about 6 years, but he and I both have this very similar taste in music with this stuff. And I have the music taste of like an early 2000s shitlib. Like I really like the entire discography that's mentioned in like Garden State. I have seen the Decemberists live more than I would ever like to admit publicly.
I remember that. I remember that strange admission from you.
Yeah, so it's like for me, like this is perfect. This is right up my alley of the sort of stuff I was listening to, because this came out in when did this come out? 2017 is when this premiered, right?
2016, 2017, yeah.
2016,
2017, yeah.
So I mean, this was for me. I was in university at the time, and it was just this was the kind of things that I was listening to or had listened to. It's not like my music tastes have really changed that much, but yeah, these are big name performers at the time.
Okay. Young at heart. Oh, young at heart. I get it. Okay, young at heart. Okay. Yeah. I forgot also. Yeah, there's Eddie Vedder isn't one of them. Another Gen X person, and Rebecca Del Rey, who of course is the singer from Club Silencio in Mulholland Drive. So, yeah, I'm very intrigued by. In fact, it was sort of Sandy who sort of made me appreciate again the story within a story that is at the end of many of these episodes. Not this one. This one just ends with the music. But and some of them, many of these scenes at the Roadhouse, there's a whole other plot going on, but you only ever hear about it. Like you hear it's people talking about their lives, things happening in their lives, and again, it's a weird mirror of some of the things that are actually happening in the return. It's again the sort of reiteration of this invitation to love idea. And I didn't pay it much heed on my first watch, but again, because Sandbatch was so taken by it, I think it is a very interesting thing. And of course, to end each of these, there is something. I mean, even though I don't know these bands, I quite like most of the music, and it's just an odd, like, it's oddly comforting, in a way, that whatever happened in the episode, that we're all going to relax and chill to some tunes at the end. I don't know. It's
It's also important to note that this is Au revoir Simone. They've been around since 2003. They've worked with everybody from like the Mountain Goats to think of basically every indie or sort of shit-lib band that you can think of the early aughts, like they've worked with them. But the song that they're singing in here is they sing more than once, but they've got Lark is one of their songs. They also sing I think isn't the episode Violent Yet Flammable World, but they got 2 performances in here, and they're the only band that I think that gets more than they have 3 performances. Sorry,
3. Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. They are in multiple. Yeah, multiple.
Yeah,
episodes.
they have there are 2 showings at the Roadhouse, but there are 3 that go there. But I mean, like, this is really good stuff. And so the songs are very applicable, and also if you listen to the lyrics, there's foreshadowing for the episodes to come.
Yeah, it is interesting because the songs are not random. So yeah, this episode they're playing Lark is the name of the song, and yeah, and then in the then in episode 9 they reappear and they play A Violent Yet Flammable World. That's in episode 9. Yeah, so yeah, so we will see them again. And yes, as someone notes, legs. Yeah, there's lots. There's lots of legs. They very tall. I love the e-girl bar. Yeah. And so that's
the lyrics are great too, because so long ago there wasn't anyone I thought I needed to know, but no more when I find the day to leave my mind in the evening just as the day before. And so basically, I've crossed the line. I'll point you to a better time, a safer place to be. Sometimes I don't want to be enough for you. Don't ask. Know that it's done no good. Sometimes I want to be good enough for you. Don't ask. And it feels very applicable not only for our characters in the Roadhouse, but also for our mission in regards to Laura Palmer. Like we want to point to a time where things were better. And is my mission good enough for you? But at the same time, maybe not.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder to what extent. I mean, Lynch must have known about all of these bands. I do wonder to what extent he.
I think they're on the same, because I think they're on the same label.
As Lynch.
Yeah.
Because Lynch produced, I think, 4 records over his career, 4 music projects. Yeah, Au revoir, Simone. Yeah. So that's episode 4, and I think again we a very important part of the kind of plot arc going forward was established in this episode. I think an important one. Do you want to try to burn through episode 5 in 20 minutes or 30 minutes?
I think there's still a lot to talk about with this episode.
Okay.
Because there's a lot we kind of don't sort of get to. I mean, there's a lot in here that we're going to get out and look into later on in this world. But it's very interesting to see everything that gets... everything is a callback, or a lot of things are a callback. Like you had said, we get a callback to how people speak in the lodge or in the Red Room when it comes to Cooper. Everything sort of is either an inversion of what we are to expect, or also a deliberate callback to things that we know that are familiar to us. So like Cooper having coffee for the first time. It's really funny, but at the same time, like, I think that in a lot of ways, Lynch is trying his best to sort of like maybe pat the audience on the back or maybe guide them. Like, listen, we're going to go on a journey. It's going to be really weird, but I want you to understand that I'm here for you. I'm listening and I'm watching with you. And so there's a lot of in which that is in here that feels deliberate. I mean, like this, as the episode title goes, that brings back some memories. Everything in this episode is a deliberate callback to what's been, even in what is new. I think that you're right when you had said that there's an invitation to love reference in here as well, or that there is a deliberate desire to go back to a strange and quirky world, but it's an unfamiliar quirky world because it's modern day. It's Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's nothing like Twin Peaks whatsoever. And so, but we're introduced to a very quirky world. I think that Jay Larson is really funny as the limo driver when he takes
Oh
Cooper
yeah.
home. I thought that was really good. Like, it's really good comedic timing. He's just like, I'll wait for you out here, sir, for him to get home. It's very endearing, and I quite appreciate it. Even to bring back Denise, as much as I take issue with all that, it's a deliberate callback. Like, that was stuff that Lynch did not work on in the second season. Lynch is basically not present at all until maybe like the last 4 or 5 episodes in season 2, after we find out who Bob really is, and then he like basically leaves, and you're left with like 15 episodes of the cast and producers trying to figure out what the hell to do. But everything here he kind of wraps up and plays off, and Gordon Cole has not changed in 30 years at all, or 25 years at all whatsoever, which makes it all the more endearing. Although there is the line, I think it's actually from Denise's character, like, fix your hearts or die. No, it's from Gordon Cole. Gordon Cole says that. It's like, I think that's a really good line for this whole show, is that your heart has to be in the right place for whatever it is you're doing. If not, like, you will get killed. Because it takes a lot of spiritual and mental fortitude to handle these things, which I quite appreciate. I like that Bobby is the deputy. I think that it's really good for the actor and for him to sort of have his act together. And then, we didn't even talk about Tammy. We didn't talk about that at all. She's introduced in this episode.
Yeah, is this? Yeah, this is the episode where we meet Tammy, who's played by Krista Bell, who's a
this is the whole reason why we see David Duchovny in the first place.
Yeah,
is that Duchovny says that, like, he does not like he doesn't like the choice. And in fact, he implies that Gordon Cole has picked Tammy because she's young and pretty.
No, we actually meet Tammy in a previous episode because she's introduced in the scene where they review the images of the 2 that were killed in the glass box room.
That's right.
And then when they get the call, she's there. In fact, she's sat next to a big portrait of Franz Kafka, which is hanging on the wall of Gordon Cole's office. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, she's a part of this episode as well. I just didn't have any slides of her. But
okay. I was just curious if there was a deliberate. But no, Gordon insists that Tammy's very talented and that they're going to do so. Also, Mr. C's in federal prison for coke and a machine gun, and also the severed leg of a dog were found in his car after the crash, which I wasn't. I knew that it was. I knew it was drugs. I did not know that was also in there.
Yeah, the dog leg, which I don't know that's ever there's any.
It's not relevant.
I don't know there's any other mention of it. Yeah.
No, I just remember that it's in there. I was just like, what a strange thing for this for Mr. C to have in his car.
Well, it's implied. The other thing about Mr. C, I don't remember when it's implied, but you learn, of course, that Mr. C. There's some point where they're looking at a photograph of him standing in front of this sort of like. Always reminds me a bit of the blue and white temple on Epstein Island. Like he's standing in front of this sort of villa, and they basically imply that he's like worth billions of dollars, like he had run this massive drug cartel for all those 25 years. So that that Mr. C, he's not just some small time character. He's and of course that we subsequently learn, it comes up in a later episode that he is the person who is conducting the glass box experiment, that he's the person, the mysterious billionaire who's funding it. It's Mr. C.
Yeah, it's Mr. C. Yeah, no, it's definitely implied that Evil Cooper has been running a drug empire, and he's been very successful at it.
Yeah.
And has killed anyone who's gotten in his way. And I mean, it's not just because he's a talented shot or he's just that evil. I mean, he is literally otherworldly and an evil in which I think the average gangbanger and criminal doesn't know how to compare to.
Yeah.
Notice, however, that it's in the scene there where they're like interviewing Cooper. Cole says it's because he did not greet me correctly, whereas Tammy showing, because she doesn't know about this world at all. She does not get the exposition dump until towards the end of the series about what the hell has been going on. But instead, she figures it out because it's like, well, why is he driving west? Why is he going westward when everything that has been associated with him is towards the east? And I think that's particularly important because we know why he's traveling west in the previous episode, and why he's fleeing in that direction, not just to get away, but also to get more time, because he doesn't want to be in a particular location when that clock and all of the static and everything from the lodge begins to affect him. But I think it really does show what's going on, and they need to bring up what else is going on with Jeffries, and that those kind of sources need to be kept close, because they can't someone else should talk to Mr. C.
Yeah.
Because after all, Albert tells Cole, hey, like, I heard from Philip Jeffries. You remember Philip Jeffries? You remember him, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, about an agent in Colombia that Cooper needed. And all of a sudden that agent was killed. So maybe we should have someone else do it. And he says, this is a Blue Rose case. And again, another reference to the Blue Rose. So I think all of this is there for us sort of to get a pretty good understanding of the world that we're dealing with. Also, this is the episode we meet Sheriff Frank Truman, right? For the first time, because he's been out on a fishing trip.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I think that's the scene. Yeah, because that's the scene where we also meet Chad and all of that.
Yeah, so we do not get Sheriff Truman that we know. We get, instead of instead of Harry S. Truman,
yeah,
we get Frank Truman,
Truman,
the brother.
The brother. Now, of course, that was not a deliberate casting choice. So Michael Ontkeen, who was the actor who played Harry Truman in the original series, was slated to be in the return, and for some reason backed out at the last minute. He just said, I'm not doing it. So apparently there was a bit of a scramble where Lynch had to kind of write
new character.
Yeah, and write that into the show, because for reasons that no one knows, he decided at the last moment to kind of pull out. So a couple of other things, since we're being very thorough about this. Yeah, Mr. C, part when he's talking to Gordon Cole and Albert and Tammy, he says that he's been working undercover with Philip Jeffries. So yeah, I mean, Jeffries, again, a key point, one of the sort of weird moments of Fire Walk with Me, and which of course becomes another like important element of the return in later episodes. I don't think if there's anything else. There's a scene at the casino early on. I don't think it's terribly important, but it's sort of funny because quote Dougie meets a friend of his who's eating a hot dog. He's a sort of fat guy, and his wife. They're called Bill and Candy Shaker. Interesting names.
What a great name.
Yeah, the guy. So the guy, his name is Ethan Suplee, and apparently he was in American History X.
And My Name is Earl.
Boy Meets World. Yeah, I actually looked him up, and he has gone from being fat to being like a total weightlifting Chad.
Yeah.
So it's a bit odd. And the woman I don't recognize, but I'm sure she was in something as well. But yeah, there's a funny scene where and again, they're like, Dougie. Dougie. I mean, of course, even though he doesn't really look at all like Dougie, except maybe in the face, but they have a big chat with him. In fact, that's how Dougie. I was trying to remember how Dougie learned where he lived, and it's because
of them.
They tell him, yeah, they say, you still live on, the house with the red door on Lancelot Court, yeah. So that's how Dougie knows where home is. Home,
yep.
Home.
Dougie Jones.
Dougie Jones. Me, Dougie Jones. Yeah.
I should, I wonder if I can find a hideous lime green polyester jacket in time for Halloween tomorrow.
Oh man.
I don't do Halloween, but if I had an excuse to dress up like Dougie Jones, that would be it.
Drape a tie over your head. Yeah.
I have so many to choose from. It works out.
That's good.
This
Oh,
this was fun, Mr. D. I'm glad to be back. I apologize for not being able to be here last week, but if Sandy and I alternate, surely you will have a complete roster for all 18 episodes. But um, I need to just remind the audience that by all means, with the time we have left, go buy Mr. D a coffee right now. We will answer your questions, but please give this man your excess, your coffee if you can, and he will make good use of it. If you're a fan of the streams or his wonderful "I Hate Mondays," "It's Wednesday, my dudes," or the Friday night cocktail hour spaces, then you by all means give this man a coffee. Do it right now. We'll answer your questions.
well, thank you very much for that plug. Brewed, much appreciated. There was one coffee, I should say. I should just call someone out. Oh, this is someone who calls himself someone, but he's a frequent contributor, often sending messages of religious and spiritual hope and verses and such. Again, often during the spaces. But he says, "Hello, Mr. D. I'm very excited for your new endeavors. Two of my favorite feasts are coming up soon: the Feast of All Saints and All Souls Day. What is your favorite feast day? God bless, and may Mary keep you." Well, thank you, someone, for the coffee, and and for the reminder of the feast days to come. Boy, what is my favorite feast day? There's so many. I have particular fondness for St. Lucy and St. Hubert. There's quite a number. But yeah, but thank you for the coffee, and we can talk about saints on perhaps the next cocktail hour.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Well, listen, it's wonderful. Obviously, I mean, it's even better when I get both of you, but I understand scheduling is difficult. We're all very busy of late, and I think you're running off to another show. So
Yeah, I'll be on Pony Express in about 30 minutes or so. But yeah, I'm always glad to do this. Twin Peaks and David Lynch has been one of my my biggest favorite things to really fall in love with in terms of appreciating media and film and television. So I'm glad that you're doing this. You really cut your teeth doing all of the great work on covering previous poets, artists, and pop culture icons. So I think that you can easily tackle this. You've got your screenshots, you've got your notes, and between Sandy's incredible mind and my ability to sit down and watch television, I'm sure that this will be a great series for people to come back to time and time again.
indeed, and you sell yourself massively short there. So you were actually the first person to kind of encourage me to do this and volunteer to join. So much appreciated. Media I'll tell you something, Ajar Bizarre. This is a media literacy stream, so you're getting your media literacy right now. Although it would be very hilarious to hear a kind of left-wing interpretation that David Lynch is secretly putting out woke
Twin
media.
Peaks is a TrueCore film or TV show. I'm sure that exists.
I'm sure it exists, and
I refuse to give it the attention.
I don't think so. I think I think even politically, David Lynch was in certain ways quite conservative and traditionally minded. Certainly culturally so. Again, Janie E is the ideal woman, and I think there's some truth to that. Well, listen, thank you again, Mr. Prudentialist, and thank you all for coming and watching and listening, and much appreciated. Hopefully you will all return for our next stream. Not sure when it will be. Perhaps next Thursday. I don't know. We haven't scheduled it yet. But
I should be available next Thursday.
Nice. Okay. Well, we will tentatively go with that. So yeah, and we will be doing episode 5. But again, thank you all for coming, and we shall see you next time.